Hello, welcome to Caffeinated Cast-Ons. My name is Therese. I am the face behind Caffeinated Cast-Ons. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is Sunday, September 7th, and this is episode 74 of Caffeinated Cast-Ons. I'm a North Texas-based knitter sorry, this is my YouTube channel where I talk about patterns, projects that I'm working on with my knitting. Think of this as a video version of Ravelry project pages. I talk about the types of needles that I'm using, the yarn size, pattern modifications, and just thoughts about the pattern in general. And I just bring you along for the ride. And then I am caffeinated. I am so tired today. I'm on my second coffee of the day. I just have a single shot espresso oat milk latte going on here with some creamer. So this is my second cup of coffee for the day because I've just been so tired. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got a lot to talk about this week. I have some finished objects that I'm going to show you, but it's not necessarily a yarn finished object. I have hair on my face. I have some whips to talk about, some decisions that I need to make on my Q3 garment, and then I'm going to talk about Fiberfest as well. And if you stick around to the very end, we have our first giveaway. Let's start first with some finished objects. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram as at Caffeinated Cast-Ons, and I'll posts there, but on my Instagram stories I have shared a couple times that I have been making bracelets to share and give away at Fiberfest. DFW Fiberfest is coming up. It is September 19th, 20th, and 21st. We are 1 week and 5 days away as of September 7th, so the countdown is on. Typically, a lot of people will exchange stitch markers, whether they're store-bought, handmade, whatever. I'm choosing to go a little bit different route this year, and I made some bracelets. So I thought I would show a few of those. I've got one that says knitter. Let's see if it'll focus. I don't know if it will. And I've got one that says yarn lover. I'm trying a couple new cameras out. Let's see if I take my face away. Nope, the camera's gonna want to follow my face. Fiberfest and Crocheter. So I've got a couple different bracelets that I've made just with beads, and I'm trying to make them a couple different sizes so they can accommodate people's wrists. But I am super excited to, let's see if I can turn that off. Okay, I'm super excited to hand these out to people because I think they're so fun and just like a nice alternative to stitch markers. And it's just so fun to see what people will choose. So if you do see me at DFW Fiberfest, ask me for a bracelet. I'm trying to make as many as I can. I think I have 25 to 30 as of right now, and I still have plenty of time to make some more. So there are definitely some fun ones in there. Trying to make sure I have a range. So that's it for finished objects for this week. Other than that, I've got two projects that I'm going to talk about in whips. Project number one is my Q3 garment, which if you are new, each quarter this year, I am making a different garment for myself. Q3's garment is the Skyline Tee. This is a pattern by Tori Yu of Tori Knits NYC. And it's been an adventure with this project. Right now, I'm kind of in the crossroads with it because I have some decisions to make. So as I mentioned, Q3 is the goal for when this pattern, when I want to be done knitting this pattern, which is technically the end of September. However, I do want to try to get it done so I can wear it to Fiberfest, which again is a little less than 2 weeks away. Last episode, I talked about how I'm going to cut into my shirt because I knit essentially the whole body, like maybe a few inches short of my actual desired length. but there is a clear line of where I switched skeins, and I'm not happy with that. And it took a pep talk from a couple of my friends, and it's like I paid good yarn, or good money, good money for this yarn that I used. So I want to make sure that this garment is up to my standards so I can enjoy wearing it. Just because the yarn was a little bit on the pricier side. There's a cashmere mix in there. I'll talk about the yarn in a minute. Okay, so I decided I'm going to cut into the sweater, shirt, top, whatever. But before I did that, I wanted to knit the neckline, the neckband, and bring everything up. And so I did that this past week. I knit an inch of 1x1, and then I did a tubular bind off for the first time. It took a while. I think it took me just under an hour and a half, but so worth it. It's a very stretchy bind off. I really like the way that it looks finished on the collar. I will probably do that on the sleeves and the bottom hem as well. Then I went and picked up sleeve 1, which there is kind of a line in the color change of the skein of that as well. But I decided I'm just going to knit the sleeve. I'm not going to stress about blending, coloring, whatever. It's too complicated of a construction here, so I'm just going to knit the sleeve as is. So I finished all the decrease rounds, and now I'm just knitting to the length that says in the pattern. However, I do want to try this on because I think it is a little bit of a longer sleeve, and I think I might be good where it is before I finish where it is, because wait, I might be done with the length already before the required length it says to knit to, and I may be even a little past that length because I still need to consider like an inch for the ribbing and bind off. So I need to try it on, but I finished that sleeve. And I haven't gone into the actual shirt yet. I need to do sleeve 2. So that's the update on that. So I feel like I got a lot done. I feel more accomplished, and it feels like a wearable garment now that I finished the collar and that the sleeve is almost done. I panicked for a minute, but we're getting through it. The size that I am knitting on this, I am knitting the size 4. I'm typically like a size large, like in regular everyday clothes, and I think the 4 signifies a large. I'm also going for 4 to 6 inches of positive ease, and so far every time I've tried it on, I have plenty of room. It's fitting great. I am knitting this on a US size 4. I knit on the metal ChowGoo interchangeable needles on the red lace, and that's the equivalent of 3.5 millimeter. The yarn I am using is Plucky Knitter, and this is on their Primo fingering base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 5% nylon. So because there's that cashmere, it makes it a little more luxe, and why I want to spend more time making sure I really do love how this garment is being knit up. It's a very soft fabric. I love this mix. It's going to be very relaxed, but again, I just want to fix that line. I really need to get a move on of that, and I'll talk about that more in my goals section, because I really do want to try to wear this to Fiberfest. I forgot to mention, I'm knitting this with 3 skeins total of the Plucky Knitter, and I know it's going to be enough, and I think I'll even have some left over because I'm using skein 3 for the sleeves, and yeah, it's plenty. The next project that I'm going to talk about is a pair of vanilla socks. This is the vanilla socks on 9-inch circulars by Kayla from the Crazy Sock Lady, and this is a pair of socks I am knitting for a coworker. Beautiful yarn. I cannot get over this. Like how amazing this looks. I am knitting this on 9-inch circulars in a US size 1 or 2.25 millimeter. I am knitting the large size sock, which is 72 stitches. This is my first time to knit 72 stitches, but I think it's going great so far. I think I do have still a little bit more ways to go on the foot length. I've just been trying to knit a little bit more on the Skyline Tee, so I haven't gotten to knit on this as much as I wanted. This past week I was here where this blue stitch marker is, and so it's maybe about an inch. So still a little bit ways to go to finish the foot length, and then I might have my husband try these on because he is close to the fit, so we'll see. I am knitting this on Miss Bab's yarn, and this is her Putnam fingering weight yarn. It is a 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon mix, and this was the DFW Fiberfest colorway from 2022. So a little ways ago. Come on, focus. Woo. There we go. Oh goodness. Trying to get used to a new camera setup and figure out what's gonna work. Anyways, yeah, so this is how much I've got left of the skein, and so after I finish the foot length, I do want to measure this so I can make sure I have enough and see if I need to maybe do the toes in a contrast color. So slow and steady on that one. So goals for the upcoming week for these two projects. Goal 1 for the Skyline Tee, I want to try it on and see where the sleeve length is hitting me and see how I like the length. I might need to pull back a couple rows, but then I want to finish that sleeve and then pick up stitches and start sleeve 2. And then if I finish the sleeve within the week, that still gives me just under a week to do surgery and cut into the shirt and fade skeins for the first and second skein together to get a more blended join for the body, so I can get rid of that harsh line and then finish the bottom hem. I think I can do it. I'm feeling confident now. Really, the most daunting piece at this point is going to be making sure I pick up the stitches all the way in the round before I cut into this, because I have to pick up stitches just above where I want to cut and just below. That way I can work with some yarn to blend it together. And then for the socks, I need to measure how far along I am on the foot length to the size that I need, and then just keep working on those. I didn't get those finished when I was hoping to. I was hoping to get them finished before the end of August, but they're not for any certain special occasion like a birthday or anything like that, so I'm just trying to work on this as much as I can. Okay, next let's talk about some Fiberfest stuff. Last week in episode 73, I did give you guys some Fiberfest, my tips, advice for attending DFW Fiberfest. So if you like to know those things, go back and watch episode 73. Where I just leave tips, tricks, shoes I recommend wearing, things I'd recommend to pack, just navigating a couple different things there. One thing I did forget to mention is that it does cost to attend in the vendor hall. You can pay $5 per day, or I believe you can pay $10 for the whole weekend. I'll leave the DFW Fiberfest website link down below in my description box, and it has all the information there. And then if you're taking a class, price of the vendor hall is included, I believe. Yeah, and then something, I'm about to talk about my shopping plans, but something that I noticed is that Madeline Tosh is not going to be there this year. I did not see them on the vendor list, and I am shocked because they're based here in North Texas. So I am very curious as to why they're not vending. I hadn't seen anything on their social media about not vending at Fiberfest this year, so very curious. I typically always buy their show colorway, each time I go. And so I'm a little shocked. Just a random tidbit there. Let's talk about shopping plans and what vendors that I am looking forward to seeing. So I've been trying to narrow down what projects I want to shop for. I like having a game plan whenever I'm going into the vendor hall. That way I can kind of gauge my budget. I don't want to go too crazy with yarn purchases. And I like knowing what that yarn is going towards rather than just buying yarn at random, especially when it comes to purchasing more than one skein, or like up to a sweater quantity of yarn. I just want to make sure I'm intentional with my purchases and knowing that it's going to become something that I will make and wear. So I've got, I went a little above and beyond and I made a presentation to show some of my friends at our knit night what I wanted to like consider shopping for. And so I'm going to take you through that presentation. I'll throw up the slides here as I talk about them. That way you can see like what I'm talking about, like the pattern I'm talking about, the yarn inspiration, and just go from there. So I think this is going to be fun. As I was looking through some of these patterns, I also realized that there are certain things I look for in the pattern details pages, or the pattern details page on Ravelry. So like whenever you go to a pattern on Ravelry, the main page that you're on whenever you look up that pattern is the details page. And it'll tell you the needle size, the yarn weight, and it can have some maybe information on the construction of the garment. It's not a uniform thing, just depending on the designer, they'll have different things in that details area. And I've realized going through these patterns, there are certain things that I look for and like to know ahead of time before I purchase a pattern or before I consider wanting to knit that pattern. And so some things that I like to know are ease, and I like to know if it's fixed ease, meaning that the ease is built in to the size. So for example, if it's here's the bust size, this corresponds to the size that you're going to knit. So if you're a 39 bust, knit size 4, I'm just throwing out examples. And with size 4, you're going to get built in, I don't know, 6 to 10 inches of positive ease. Or is it ease that is, oh, we recommend having 2 to 5 inches of positive ease, so choose a size with a finished bust circumference of 2 to 5 inches from there, and like you kind of determine your ease that way. But as long as there's something indicating what the ease, recommended ease is in the pattern, and if it's telling me if it's built into the size already, or if I need to pick a different size based on my desired finished circumference, that is a key thing. And for me, that's like one of the first things I'm looking at, is how much ease is in the garment, just because I typically do knit the larger sizes of things and I want to make sure I'm comfortable. Again, then kind of leading into that is bust circumference and finished circumference. So again, like I like whenever they list the breakdown of here's the bust circumference that this size corresponds to, and here's the finished circumference that you will get by knitting the size. Again, figuring out if that's built in with the ease already, or if I need to choose a different size if I want something a little bit larger. And then yardage. I'll take meters, that's fine, but I like seeing the meters yardage so I can see how many skeins I'll need. The tricky thing is some, like, especially, how do I say it? Not every person makes the same weight of skein. Some people do 50-gram balls. Some people do 100-gram balls, and sometimes it could be something in between. But the yardage depends. It's like yardage per grams or meters per grams. And if you're just listing how many skeins, I don't know what yardage to pay attention to. So I don't know. But I think the yardage is important there. But also, something I noticed in a couple of patterns is that if a sweater is a DK weight, but the pattern details say they achieve that weight by holding fingering double, like fingering plus fingering equals DK. If that's what it says in the yardage, not only do I almost expect, like, not only will I see and should see the yardage for holding fingering double, but I also expect to see the yardage for the final weight that the yarn is, or that the garment's going to be. If it's a DK weight garment, I want to see DK yardage or meters for the project, because for me at least, I am trying to shop smartly, and I know it's really not in my budget to buy essentially double the yarn to achieve that DK weight. I don't want to buy 6 skeins of fingering if I can get that by buying 3 skeins of DK, if that makes sense. And so that's something that I like to look out for too. And I know I'm not a pattern designer, and I know they can't accommodate every single type of yarn in the makeup because they only knit it with certain yarn and their testers only tested with certain yarn. But to me, that is something that stands out to me when looking at patterns. Okay, with all that being said, let me get into my presentation. So I do have some vendors that I want to shop from specifically, just because I have either bought from them in the past, or I'm really looking forward to knitting or to hopefully purchasing from them this year. And those vendors are U2 Yarn, A Chick That Knits, Twisted Ambitions, Euphoria Knits, Lavender Fiber Co., and Fangirl Fibers. I have shopped from the first 4, U2 Yarn, A Chick That Knits, Twisted Ambitions, and Euphoria Knits. The 2 new ones that I have not purchased from and knit with are Lavender Fiber Co. and Fangirl Fibers. So not saying I'm just restricting myself to only shop for these patterns from these vendors, but these are definitely the ones I want to go to that are more of a priority that I would be looking for the yarn for. If I find the yarn in another vendor, totally fine. The first pattern that I'm considering shopping for is the Farnham sweater. And I did not look up who the pattern is by. I only wrote down the name of the patterns, but I will link all this information down below in my description box. So the Farnham sweater is a sport weight garment, which I have never knit a sport weight garment before. I don't know how common it is of a weight to be at Fiberfest, because I've never sought out that weight. Typically I'm doing fingering, DK, maybe even a worsted sometimes, but this, I'm really gonna have to keep my eyes peeled and pay attention for this. My color inspiration is going to be maroon with like a creamy contrast color. And I know this will take me about 5 skeins. And this is based on other people that I look up on the project pages on the main pattern page. And people who are around the same size as me, this is what they knit from. How many skeins? So 4 for the main color and 1 contrast color. This pattern does have a lot of ease. Let's see, I believe, and this is one, for example, that has fixed ease. There's a note in the sizing and ease section of the details of this pattern that has the sweater, it has a recommended positive ease of 13.75 inches to 15.75 inches, which is a lot. And then the pattern has been graded with fixed ease. So again, meaning each size is the 13.75 to 15.75 inches larger in circumference than the corresponding chest measurement. So I don't have to go up a size if I want that much ease. I would still knit my corresponding size based on my chest circumference. So that's something that I'm taking into consideration. I would be knitting, I believe, the size F in this garment. And so that is something that I'm looking for. I think based off that, it said I would need like 5 Yeah, 5 skeins. Well, no, actually this one said, according to that, I would need 5 skeins of my main color and approximately 2 skeins of my contrast color. But again, that's for the specific yarn for that the knitter knit the pattern in. But again, I looked up a few different project pages of people who knit the size, and they did it with 4 for the main color and 1 for the contrast. So I think that's what I'm going to do because there's so much ease in this pattern. The next pattern that I'm considering shopping for is the stripe pipe sweater. This one is a DK weight pattern. And for this, I am thinking more of like a creamier base with jewel tones for my contrast colors. Jewel tones look best on me, and I think it'd be fun just to get so many different colors in this. The estimated skeins I would need is 9, maybe 10 skeins. And so this is going to be the most expensive project that I could shop for. Therefore, if I chose this pattern, I don't think I would buy anything else. Like, I think that would pretty much just take up my whole yarn budget for Fiberfest. So that I kind of have some things to weigh out there. Like, do I want to get a project bag? Do I want to shop around more? Or do I just want to pick one thing and shop for that? So that's just something I'm taking into consideration. This sweater has 8 to 12 inches of positive ease, and I do need to choose a size that is the 8 to 12 inches bigger than my bust circumference. And so I think for this one, I'm depending on how much ease I want, I'm knitting either the large or the extra large. I haven't decided yet because I think that would still take up my yardage needed there. And it does, because the reason why those skeins add up is because there are 5 contrast colors. So it's a lot. So again, some decisions to make. The next project that I'm potentially shopping for is the stick season sweater. This is another DK weight sweater, and I am hoping to knit this in either a navy or like a chocolate brown color. I think it would look so beautiful and really make that stitch, the pattern detailing up at the top, really stand out. And then it is estimated that I would need 6 skeins. Again, I'm going off of project pages that I've looked up for others. It has a recommended 2 to 6 inches, 2 to 6 inches of positive ease. And I would need to pick a size that is more than my chest measurement for this one. This one does not have fixed ease. And I am leaning towards knitting the size 4 in this one. The next pattern I'm potentially shopping for is the Nebula. This is an interesting one. It is a DK weight pattern, but this construction is different than anything I've done before because this is a bottom up construction. I typically work top down. I really like it because I can try on as I go. I've never done bottom up before. This will take me potentially 3 skeins, 6 if I hold with something to get DK, because I think a lot of the examples I saw were holding something together, like a mohair in a fingering or just something to get it marled. And I don't know if I do that. I'm not really gravitating towards this pattern. So it's kind of lower on my list, and I didn't really have any inspiration going into it. I like the way the pattern looks, but there's nothing that is like immediate of, oh, I would knit it this way, where the others were. Like, I did have to go and really hunt through the project pages to even find the one inspiration photo that I liked. The next pattern is the California sweater. This is another DK weight pattern. I would be leaning towards doing like a solid darker gray, or even like something slightly variegated or speckled, more like a creamier color, something neutral. I believe I would only need 3 skeins of this. I think this has 5 to 7 inches of positive ease. again, more if I hold something together to get DK, but I don't think I would lean towards holding something together. That way I can really just get the yarn that I need and still be able to make other purchases, especially spontaneous purchases. The last one that I'm going to talk about is the sea salt tee. This is another sport weight one, so again, not sure how much sport weight will be available at Fiberfest. And then the color inspiration on this is like a neutral color, just something every day that I can wear. So maybe like a brownish green, some shade of a toned gray. I'm open to that. And then I think I would need 4 skeins. That one, how much ease is in this? I have notes. This one is 1 to 4 inches of positive ease, and I would need to choose a size larger than my bust circumference. So I think I would be knitting the size 4 in this one. So those are all the garments that I have in mind. And another thing that I did that's going to be super helpful for me is I printed out the pattern details page from Ravelry, and I highlighted the yarn weight, the size I'm considering making, and then all the corresponding numbers to that size. So the yardage, the finished circumference, the ease recommendation, and any other notes that I think would be helpful. And my plan is based like on each printout that I have as I go through and shop and look through the booths. I am going to write down what booth I'm looking at and what yarn and colors and the pricing. That way I can take a break, sit down, and really see what my options are and how far I can make my budget go, and if I even find yarn based off the inspiration I'm looking at. So I am trying to be as organized as possible to do this. I have already kind of filtered out some projects based off of just things I've been looking through in the pattern and what I'm more drawn to as I've gone through and kind of noted everything down of what I would want to look for and shop for. So I think I have it narrowed down to 3. We will see. But very excited for that, and just trying to be as organized and go in with as much of a plan as possible for Fiberfest. A couple other things that I do want to shop for are 1 to 2 just single skeins of sock yarn in show colorways. So typically I buy, like, I would say at least 2 show colorways from the vendors, because a lot of the times they have a colorway that's only available at DFW Fiberfest. So I always like to get those kind of like as a souvenir. I mean, the whole thing, everything I buy is a souvenir, but you know what I mean. And then I definitely want to get a project bag. And then I always like to kind of take inventory of my notions, like, do I have enough yarn snips and measuring tape, things like that. So that's other stuff that I like to keep a lookout for. So those are my tentative Fiberfest shopping plans. Hopefully that was helpful to you to kind of game plan everything out. So we'll see how that turns out. But I'll definitely be thinking on those projects later this week to kind of see what I end up deciding on. Okay, if you've stuck around this long, I know this is kind of a longer video, but we do have a giveaway this episode. We reached 500 subscribers, and that, to me, that's a big milestone. Like, it blows my mind how many of you subscribe and come back each week to watch the episodes. So I wanted to do a giveaway, and Mama Jess Knits so kindly sent me some yarn for a giveaway, so let's look into that. So we have 3 skeins of yarn. Look how beautiful this yarn is. So we've got 3 skeins that she sent me. She said I could keep what I wanted and then use the rest for a giveaway. And they look so great together, it's hard to separate them, but I do want to just send back some love to you guys. So here's what we have. This one, and this is all on her, I believe, fingering sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. The first color is Midnight. This is beautiful blue. I am keeping this one for sure because this would be a beautiful muscle burra. I think I'm going to knit that with this. The other two, this one is from the July Mystery of 2025, and this colorway is Vitamin C, written as SEA. So beautiful, just like the blue, it kind of goes into like an aqua color. And then there is this one-of-a-kind speckled, and it's just called OOAK speckled. And again, we see those similar colors here and from the dark blue. So I'm keeping this one. It's really hard to decide. This is a one of a kind, so I definitely want to keep that too. Like, I want to keep it all, but I can't. So I'm going to let you have your pick between these two skeins. So how to enter this giveaway, leave a comment down below. This is only going to be open to US, so apologies. But leave a comment down below with which color you would hope to win in the giveaway. So again, we have one-of-a-kind speckled or Vitamin C. So leave a comment down below. I will pick a winner and announce them in episode 75, so next week's episode. And then I will coordinate through there. So it's not on Instagram, anywhere else. I will announce the winner here and here only. So exciting. So thank you, Jess, from Mama Jess Knits, for sending this yarn. So super kind of you. And thank you for those who subscribed to get me to 500. And it's so exciting to have you part of this journey. Okay, that is everything yarn and fiber related. Let's talk about life. Reading, watching, and listening. I haven't started reading anything yet. After I finished After You, I've kind of been taking a little book break, reading break, just so I can focus on my Skyline Tee, so not reading anything new yet. I am still watching Gilmore Girls, even though it's not really my favorite show, but it's just something mindless that I can wind down in the evening to, even though it stresses me out. And then listening, there is a Halloween vibes playlist on Spotify that I've been listening to, and it's so nice just to get me into the fall vibey Halloweeny mood. So I will link that down below. Let's wrap her on up with 3 simple joys. If you're new, at the end of every episode, I name 3 random things, just like a little gratitude list of things that have been bringing me simple joy, like real simple, just joy. Simple joy number 1, cozy fall decor. I can't remember if I talked about this last week, but I put up my fall decor inside my house. There's little pumpkins around. I have my pumpkin scented candles, little like orange and yellowy leaves, the fall dish towels. It's just so nice and cozy and really just makes me like take a deep breath. It's so nice. Simple joy number 2 is that Halloween vibes playlist. Just again, setting more of like the ambiance for fall. It's still pretty warm here in North Texas, but I'm just trying to get into like the fall mindset. And then simple joy number 3 have been knit nights. I have a couple of friends that I go to weekly knit night with, and it's just been so fun doing that, especially as like kind of fall always gets busy. With like summer ending, fall activities picking back up. So it's nice that we can meet once a week and just chat. And they've been super helpful with like, especially my Skyline Tee and just projects and Fiberfest planning. So it's been super fun. That's all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining. Be sure to leave a comment down below for the giveaway. The countdown is on for Fiberfest. So I really need to get moving on some of these projects. And I'm just so excited and I can't wait. So until next time, stay caffeinated.